Hi, my name is Tamara, and this is Things Even a Monkey Should Know. Some of you may know me as an artist, and thanks to making art and living with a monkey, I have gained many self-reliant skills. My hope is to pass some of this knowledge along to you, so that whether you live by yourself or with a monkey, you have the confidence you can tackle any need that arises. Today I'll be showing you how to patch those holes that we made from the last time whenever we were learning to hang things in sheetrock. I also have a big crack in the sheetrock that I'm going to show you how to patch too. Of course, you'll want to know what we're going to use today. You will need a scraper so that you can scrape up excess mud, excess texture, anything that's stuck on your wall. It's really nice. Now, you will also need, you have two options here. This is what we're going to be using today. It's called patching plaster, and it's good for larger holes and cracks and the stuff that we're going to be doing. Now, they also sell this stuff called spackling. Spackling is really light. It's almost like air. It's like you're patching with air. So it's really only good for little bitty nail holes like the size of a pinhead. Sandpaper, 120 to 150 grit is good, and this is in case you get too much of your mud built up and you need to sand some of it off. It's also good for sanding off excess texture. You will need a mask. Now, there's only certain safety things. We're not using really anything sharp today, so this is the only safety thing today. And you need it because whenever you sand, you're going to create a bunch of dust from this stuff. And if you sand any of this texture, you're going to create a bunch of dust. And really, whenever you're spraying your texture, you'll want to wear your mask because you don't want to breathe it. So obviously that brings us to the texture. Now, I got orange peel texture. That's what this is called. They also sell popcorn texture. They sell other textures too. And they sell, there's different brands. This just happens to be what I got. I like this one because it goes on blue, and whenever it's dry, it turns white. So that helps me to not rush and paint too soon. This stuff is great. I like it. You may need to have some extra plastic around in case you need to cover the carpet or furniture or anything like that, depending on where you're working. It's always helpful. You'll want to have a rag of some sort, and it really helps to have this wet because then you can quickly wipe up any accidents that you may have if you overspray or anything like that. You will want just a junk board. Now, this can be cardboard, it can be whatever this board is, I'm not sure. But it's, anyway, so that you can do practice sprays with your texture. And of course, since we're going to all this trouble to mud up your holes and texture and everything, we want to have the color of paint that is on your walls. So make sure you have that too, and a paintbrush. So I'm going to start out with the sheetrock mud. It's called patching plaster, but it's basically just a little big thing of sheetrock mud. And what you want to do, you want to make sure that you have something down on the ground to catch your excess mud, because you will have some fall. And now for these small holes, you can actually just use spackle. But since we're using plaster here already, I'm just going to go ahead and use the plaster. So you just want to get it squished down into the holes really good. Make sure you cover them real well. And of course, you can use anything that's flat to shove the mud into the holes and then smooth it off as best you can. Now we'll let it dry. Now that our mud is dry, we want to sand off the excess mud. So 2 things that you want to make sure you have. One is a dust mask, because you don't want to breathe the dust that comes off of this. And the other thing that I always like to use is a damp towel or rag of some sort to catch all the little dusty stuff that's going to fall down off the wall after or while I am sanding it. So let's sand. Ow. Ow. All you're trying to do, by the way, is just knock off any excess. You want it all to be even and smooth with the texture of the wall around it. It's done. Don't be afraid to run your hand over it and make sure that it's completely smooth. Now we're going to do the same thing on the crack in there. We're going to sand it down until it's smooth also. So whenever you use this stuff, now it actually says on here to be sure that you spray it on a test surface first, and they aren't kidding, because you want to make sure it has an adjustment where you can get from a heavy, like real thick, lumpy kind of texture to a really fine sort of spray texture. So you want to do this on a surface first where you can kind of see what you're doing. So see, that's nowhere near what I want. So that you have an idea, so that you can match it to your wall. Oh, there we go. So that's a pretty, well, that's not a fine texture at all. There we go. That's more what I'm looking for. Mine is a real fine texture. Now I can't stress safety enough with this, not that it's anything that can reach out and bite you or cut you, but this texture stuff does stink. So if you're not using it outside, which generally you're not going to be having sheetrock walls outside, or if you can't open up a bunch of the windows in your house, make sure that you wear some kind of breathing protection. So either one of those masks that I had on earlier for dust and particles like this, or some kind of a ventilator. Let's get spraying. So just spray it really evenly and make it blend into your wall. Don't worry if it stands up above it a little bit, it does flatten itself out. And remember, with that damp towel that you had here earlier, you can wipe off any excess. Like I just made a big old mess. And if there's any that's too high, you can always knock it down later by sanding it again. Okay, there's one more little spot I think. Now let's go do the crack. So let's paint this wall. My texture was white, so it turned from blue to white, so I know it's dry. Now what you have to do is just wait for it to dry. Keep in mind that your paint always goes on lighter than it dries, so don't freak out whenever you think it's a totally different color than your actual wall. And we'll look at it again in just a few minutes. Well, thanks to my monkey opening my other can of paint and letting it dry out, we didn't get to see the completed product on the cracked wall inside the house, but at least you can see on this wall out here that the paint did dry, everything blended together, and everybody lives happily ever after. Well, I hope you know now how quick and easy it actually is to patch holes in your wall, and even small cracks, and now you know you don't have to wait on a monkey to do it. So I hope you'll come back next time so that we can learn more stuff.
Ooh, ooh.
Monkey.
Ooh.
Monkey.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Monkey! No, monkey! No, monkey! No, monkey!